For 4 long years, the rains have failed. And each year, I have watched the country die, a little more every time the rains failed. How the animals survive any dry season amazes me. If the rains don't come this year, it will be a disaster. Each day, the situation becomes more and more desperate. And the more desperate it becomes, the more I find myself compelled to stay and watch. There aren't many trees left. The elephants, pushed to the limits by hunger and thirst, are changing the landscape beyond recognition. This baobab tree is probably 500 years old. It has a high food value. It's ironic that the means to survival should turn out to be the cause of death. For some, it's already too late. I wonder if the young rhino will make it to the river. And if he does, will he survive?
This is how Simon Trevor, who made this film, describes the great drought that overtook the country around his home in Tsavo, Kenya. This one lifeline saved some of the animals during that drought. He calls that lifeline a river of sand. If you didn't know the Tiva River was there, you could walk right past it. It's apparently just a winding ribbon of dry, lifeless sand. But the green trees along its banks must be getting water from somewhere. Alive and flourishing when all else is dead and dry, these trees are teeming with life. The secret of the Tiva is that it does flow nearly all the year, but underground. Where the sand dips, water seeps up to form pools, small and infrequent, but infinitely precious. The leopard is worried about lions, but she has to leave the safety of the trees to reach the pool. The lion knows she's up there somewhere, but there's nothing so smug as a leopard in a tree. Here at Roka, a rock barrier under the sand diverts the water and forces it to the surface where it flows for a short distance before disappearing again. It's the largest pool in the river and it will last the longest. Here the animals will make their stand against the drought. It's incredible that fish can survive in pools which dry up every year. They're tilapia, only a couple of inches long and hunted all day by the storks. The hammerkop, the yellowbill, and the marabou. Out on the plains, the situation is getting desperate. She was the matriarch of the herd. The others are confused now that their leader is dead. They don't want to leave. This strong family bond could be their undoing. They should be searching for food and water. It's the same story everywhere. Animals on the move, heading for the river of sand, but faced each day with a longer trek as food close to the river is used up. This totally exhausted calf may never reach the river. Just the same, the mother tries to help it to its feet. The matriarch urges the herd to move on, but the mother is determined to stay. There's a chance that the calf may recover in the cool of the evening. Beside the pool at Roker, life seems much the same, except for the behavior of a spur-wing plover. He is preparing to stake out a territory. And there's another. Maybe they're going to nest. At the head of the pool, there's a whole flock of plovers. The male is claiming his territory by systematically chasing off the others one by one. It seems odd to be thinking about nesting in the middle of a drought, but that's what they're doing. This is the chosen site for the nest. The eland are coming straight in, too thirsty to sense any danger. Not until they have drunk do the eland catch wind of the leopard. The spur-wing plover has laid the first egg, but her problems have only just begun. The pair have nested on the edge of the pool, right in the path of any animal that comes to drink. The waders have flown 5,000 miles from Europe. They have little respect for the resident plover, the rightful owner of this patch. One kick from the impala's hoof is all that's needed to destroy that precious egg. But the plover knows what to do. It warns the intruders off by standing guard over the nest and flashing its wings. To protect the nest against an impala or two is one thing, but it'll be a very different story when the big herds come crowding in from the plains. You can almost set your watch by the arrival of the sand grouse at Roker each morning. The first flocks fly in at 8:15. Each bird takes a few sips and then flies back to the waterless plains. Life is not easy for a desert bird that has to drink every day. There are no fish in the pool large enough to attract a fish eagle, but this one's a regular visitor and must be getting food from somewhere. It's showing a good deal of interest in the sand grouse, but they're almost certainly too fast for the eagle to catch in flight. This hunter is a different proposition. A Lanner falcon can take a bird on the wing at 70 miles an hour. Parties of sand grouse continue to fly in despite the risk, but they have no alternative. The falcon's attack begins way back so that it can build up speed for the strike. He's missed. So has the fish eagle. They must drink before they leave. The falcon is coming again. A strike, but he's dropped it. And the fish eagle moves in. The fish eagle has caught it. A small flock, just what the falcon wants. This time the falcon does not make a mistake. So this is why the eagle visits Roker each morning, to live on the Lanner's failures. They're safe until 8:15 tomorrow. Zebra always seem to look fat and healthy, no matter what. But the state of the others shows just how desperate the situation is becoming on the plains. If the baboon spots the plover's egg, it will eat it. The baboon is near the nest. The plovers desperately try to distract its attention. While drinking, the plover cools himself by running water down his legs. This could turn out to be very serious. The plover, no matter how hard he tries, is not going to divert the buffalo's path. During the day, the pool loses as much water by evaporation as it does through animals drinking. But so long as the Tiber continues to flow beneath its sandy bed, it will fill up again during the night. Large or small, peaceful or aggressive, all intruders are enemies to a nesting spur-wing plover. The Hadida ibis wouldn't harm the egg if it did see it. Neither would the Egyptian goose. Elephant herds follow each other round. There's no knowing how many more will be coming along. It takes a while to drink 40 gallons. There's no telling which way they'll head out. Size does not impress a plover. The wild dogs appear on the river from time to time, not to drink, but to hunt the animals along its banks. The adults leave the young dogs while they comb the bush along the banks for prey. The Gerenuk aren't here to drink either, only to eat. They get their moisture from leaves. Like all the other antelope on the Tiber, they are the natural prey of the wild dog. The dogs move in slowly, watching for the slightest movement. When the chase starts, the pack splits up, spreading panic among their intended victims. They're going for a Gerenuk. It's the gerenuk hiding from the dogs. If she doesn't panic, she may have a chance. That was another gerenuk. The dogs are coming back. Wild dogs may be ruthless and efficient killers, but they always feed their puppies first. The food is brought back and regurgitated. By keeping quite still and calm and merging with its background, the gerenuk lives to feed another day. At Roka, the pool is holding its level. The underground stream is still flowing. It's a long way across the open sand to the water. The agama is dehydrated. It has to drink now or die. The arrival of the Bateleur eagle doesn't go unnoticed by the plovers. Although the pool looks permanent, the flow could cease at any moment. Because the Roka pool is the only water left, a second male Bateleur has to drink next to a bird from a rival territory. Normally, the Peters gazelle doesn't drink at all, but with no moisture in the vegetation, it's had to retreat to the river. The young Bateleur has come to drink. He's never met plovers before. Every other day, these two old buffalo bulls visit the pool together. Today, there's a dramatic change. The elephant is not drinking. The underground flow has dried up and the water has turned saline. It's only a question of days now before the pool too dries up. The plovers seem unaffected by the situation. There's still only one egg, but lately they've been enlarging the nest, so perhaps there are more on the way. The male flicks stones and twigs to his mate with amazing accuracy. She doesn't even have to get off the nest. The dogs have found the two old buffaloes. They died together right by the water where they came to drink. Perhaps one died first, and the other simply stayed with him until he too collapsed. Once the surface water has gone, it's only the elephant who knows the secret of survival along the Tiber. Under the sand, there are still a few pockets of water. Somehow the elephant divines where they are and digs down with its forefeet. When the hole's deep enough, it probes through the sand with its trunk until the tip reaches the precious moisture. The last bit is the most difficult. The elephant has to suck out the sand without the sides of the hole collapsing, and then wait patiently while the water seeps in. This one is too thirsty to wait. He sucks up the wet sand. Then he swings his trunk until the sand is forced to its tip. Finally, he throws the sand away, but without losing the water. There goes the sand. And all the elephant gets is a cupful. The elephants spend many hours getting their fill. Other animals must wait. The rhino might use his horn to get his own way, but in this situation, it's nothing but a hindrance. His horn has knocked the hole in. All he can do now is dig as best he can to get a mouthful or two. As soon as the elephants leave, the others move in to get what water they can before the holes collapse. None of these animals could exist here were it not for the elephants and the underground supply of water below the surface of the river of sand. A good many just aren't surviving. This elephant reached the river only to die a short distance from the plover's nest. The vultures found the carcass almost immediately. In the cool of the night, lions and other scavengers move in on the victims of the drought. lion identifies himself by roaring, calling his own pride, warning off others. All lions are opportunists, and no meal is turned down if it can be had without effort. Until the lions have finished, the other scavengers will have to stay on the sidelines. Within minutes of sunrise, it's blazing hot. The hyena heads for the cool of his burrow. The lions will be here for days and will make sure they stay in possession of the carcass. At Roka, the plovers are in trouble again. Marabous will eat anything, and they've landed right beside the nest. A marabou is quite capable of grabbing and swallowing a plover whole. Despite this, the plovers offer themselves as bait to lead the enemy away. The plovers were playing for higher stakes than ever before. In that enlarged nest, there are now 3 eggs. If the rains had arrived on schedule, life would have been far less dangerous for young water birds like these Egyptian geese. Now, when birds of prey come circling over, there's no water in which the goslings can dive for safety. They must take cover by hiding among the rocks. There's still one out in the open. A gosling who has been dropped by a tawny eagle is a very lucky gosling indeed. It's 45 degrees Celsius in the shade, and there's still no sign of the rains. If they don't come soon, it will be too late anyway. The plovers take turns on the nest. It must be 60 degrees out in the sun. Only a few minutes of exposure at this temperature would cook the eggs. The other plovers haven't even attempted to nest. Night comes to the Tiver like a reprieve. The lions are still on what remains of their elephant, but soon they'll be leaving. The jackals and hyenas hang on, sensing that their moment is coming. The lions have eaten an enormous amount, but on such a huge carcass, there's plenty left for the smaller scavengers. The lions have lost interest in the meat, but their presence still makes the hyenas nervous. The striped hyena is solitary, but seems less nervous of the lions than the others. At last, the clouds promise rain, but it's falling at least 60 miles away. Any clouds that do come this way burn up in the heat rising from the plains. But there is hope, if only the animals, and particularly their young, can just hang on. The water is almost out of reach now. Desperate to get to it, the calves keep on pushing in the sides of the holes. Even so, the cows show amazing restraint and let them get what they can. Then one morning, there is a strange silence over the riverbed. There are no elephants around, just a few animals scratching the dried-out holes. Those distant storms over the mountains, so frustrating to watch, have finally found the head of the Tiber. The white-tailed mongoose had been fast asleep. The nest so gallantly defended has gone. The Tiber is a river again. For the plover, the coming of the water is a tragedy, but for the geese, it's a deliverance. For all its power, the water will only last a few weeks. But the underground river will flow again for much longer, and that's what really matters. The plovers, undeterred, are back on the bank at Roka. Almost immediately they're courting again, the male staking out a nesting territory and chasing off rival plovers in his own inimitable fashion. It looks as though they'll nest again, but higher up on the bank this time, out of reach of any more floods. And now that the animals have miles of river to choose from, they will no longer have to come to Roka to drink. But there are still a few rival plovers and the odd Egyptian goose to take care of. But this time it looks as though life along the River of Sand will be just a bit easier for those two remarkable birds.